All right, welcome everyone. I see folks are starting to join. So we'll wait just about a minute or two for folks to go ahead and join today's webinar. Here. Perfect. All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for joining our virtual decor tour here. My name is Claire Fuller. I'm the Public Programs Manager here at Hillwood. I'm so delighted we can all gather here virtually. We hope that those of you in the DC area are able to join to visit soon and check out all of the holiday decor in person, visit the peaceful winter gardens, and of course, explore our special exhibition, Fragile Beauty, Art of the Ocean, before it closes on Sunday, January 5th. So you can find more information about all that we have to offer, our upcoming programs at hillwoodmuseum.org. So before we get started today, just a couple of quick notes about today's tour. Our wonderful floral and event decor designer, Ami Wilber, will guide us through the mansion to explore the holiday trees. So the tour will run for about 30 minutes, leaving time for questions along the way after each tree that we explore. So via the chat feature or the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screens, you're welcome to submit any questions that just pop in your head as soon as you have them. So now it is my pleasure to pass us over to Ami Wilber.
Great. Thank you so much, Claire. And thank you everyone for joining us today for this virtual holiday tour. I like to start with just giving a little bit of background information about how our process for selecting a theme and then also what we do to prep for getting all of these trees up and decorated. So in about I would say July is when we first do our meetings where I will meet with curatorial, I'll meet with interpretation, and we'll figure out what we want to select for themes for the different trees. So this year we always typically use the theme that is the exhibition that is currently running. And so this year, of course, it's Fragile Beauty. And we really wanted to focus our attention specifically this year towards the theme that it would obviously be part of the ocean displays and pieces that we have in the exhibition, but then also to kind of take a little bit of a deeper look and talk about sustainability and also just what's going on with how the exhibition is going to tie into the trees. So every now and then it's one of those exhibitions where it seems like it's a relatively easy fit that it will translate well to a holiday tree. This year was a little bit different because I also wanted to sort of take each piece that we selected and then figure out how it was going to fit into, first of all, the theme of our exhibition, but then also how it was going to fit into a theme of a holiday tree, and then also, of course, where it's located and how it will fit into the space where it is going to be presented. So I was really thinking about those three different themes when I was going through and looking at the work. And this year, like we did in the past as well, we wanted to focus the trees on pieces of art that were done by contemporary artists. And for this year, I'm really excited about the different artists that we have and the pieces that we've selected for each of the trees to then sort of follow into the theme. So the other thing I also like to talk about is that this is, I think, a major holiday miracle, if you will, that we will start at 5 o'clock on that Sunday before Thanksgiving. So that was a week ago. And we have a small staff. It was myself, Drew, Jessica, and Sarah. And we put up all of the trees on Sunday night after the museum closed. We wanted to make sure that all of the ornaments and everything were going to be prepared and ready for when the rest of the horticulture staff came in on Monday to then actually decorate the trees. So that took about 4 hours for us to get everything up from the storage area in the basement of the mansion, made sure all the lights worked. We had to fluff the trees to make sure they're back into the shape that they needed to be in. And then also brought up all of the ornaments again from our storage area for each of the different rooms. And then after that, on Monday, it was the full horticulture staff that they were all assigned to different trees in different areas. And we were able to get everything decorated and done and cleaned up within the working day. So that was about 7 to 3 o'clock on Monday. So again, it's a really, I think, amazing feat that we can get all of that done within almost 24 hours to have everything up and ready to be viewed on that Tuesday right before Thanksgiving. So that's just a little bit of the background of how it is that we go about decorating all of our trees and how we get everything prepared. We also prepare all of the swags and the wreaths that you'll see around campus. And that again is something that the whole horticulture staff takes part in. And then the other thing I just wanted to point out, especially for this year as well, is that the majority of the ornaments that we used, I would say about 85% of the material, was all something that we have upcycled or repurposed from previous years. So there was just a very small amount that we actually had to buy in for this year for specific trees. So I'm always sort of proud of that, for you at home, if you are thinking that, oh, well, I don't have all of these, amazing ornaments, you can always sort of, I think, repurpose ornaments that you have, and you can hopefully get inspired and maybe present them in a different way for your tree as well. All right, so enough of that chatting. Let's get started. Again, so I'm going to go through each of the rooms individually. We'll talk about that, and then we'll have questions afterwards. So if we can see the next slide, please. So I wanted to start with the entry of the mansion. And the entry of the mansion is always something that I'm trying to figure out how I can tie in the outdoor gardens with the inside of the mansion, because I feel like the two of them, you know, Hillwood is definitely all about the gardens and also about the collection in the mansion. So it's nice to sort of marry the two right as you first walk in. And this year, we went with the Christian Louboutin shoe that's in the exhibition, which is the Marriage of Venus. So the shoe was inspired by Botticelli's Venus painting. And so with that Birth of Venus painting, and also with the shoe, I was really inspired to try and create something in terms of a tree that would look like it was, had like the foaming waves coming up from underneath, and also tying in the floral, the little flowers that you see in the painting, and then using that as the reference to our outdoor gardens to then put into the tree. And so what I mean by that is, if you go to the next slide, we'll see a little video of our tree. And again, this is as you're walking into the mansion. This is the first thing that you will see. And so again, you can see at the very bottom of the tree that I really wanted to kind of create this sort of foamy wave, sort of sea feeling, and then also have that sort of go throughout the tree as well. And so I really wanted to, pick up on these sort of silvery and pink colors from both the tree, sorry, from both the shoe and then also from the painting as well. And then I put in some of our permanent botanical roses in that tree, again, sort of tying in the theme with, again, the flowers that you see in the Birth of Venus painting, also having that be an element from the garden that we have at Hillwood, and then having it all kind of come into one image of this tree that we have here. So the next slide, please. And again, you can see on the right-hand side a little bit of that oceany sort of foaming of waves at the bottom of the tree. And then the other thing I just wanted to point out was that at the very base of the tree, I had a red ribbon that goes along the whole underneath of the tree to give a little bit of a nod to the Christian Louboutin shoes, which always have the red soles at the bottom of their shoes. So next slide, and this is just a little bit of a close-up. And then we always like to do the banister as well in the mansion to then match the theme of the tree as well. So were there any questions about the entry hall tree?
No questions yet?
Okay, perfect. So the next we're going to move on to the pavilion, and this is an amazing sculpture that was done by Morel Doucet, and this is called Olakun, and this piece is the inspiration for the pavilion. So we'll go ahead and watch the video of that. And the pavilion this year, we did a little bit differently. As you can see, we don't have one tree that we usually have, but instead we have five smaller trees that are sitting atop of the piano. So with this piece, I really wanted to make what I would call a little seascape of trees, kind of imagined in the ocean. And so with this little treescape that I wanted to create, I really wanted it to feel like the trees were kind of coming up from the ocean, sort of the same way that the sculpture, you know, it feels like it's sort of coming up from the ocean as well. The one thing that I always think in terms of trying to tie in the theme of the holiday tree to the room that it's in, this one in particular, I thought it would be interesting in terms of the pavilion that Marjorie Merriweather Post always used for things like square dancing, and she would have live music in there. So this idea of music and live music being tied into the theme of the ocean, for me, you know, you always sort of think of crashing waves and like the sound of the ocean as being this kind of rhythmic, almost like soothing melody, if you will. So again, I really thought it was kind of fun to tie in this idea of ocean and the sounds of the ocean along with also the pavilion, because there was always live music in there. And then also really, you know, using the piano as a way to also give nod to the fact that the room was used with music. And again, trying to tie that in and make it seem like it was a little bit of an oceanscape. And then as you can see, I really drew on the colors of sort of this blue and white and crystally kind of feel to give that, I would say, sort of nautical feel to it. And one of the things that hopefully, if you can be in the DC area and you can come and see the trees, is that when you look at them in person, they almost look like they're glowing from within, and it really is quite a fun way for a tree to look. And again, I could think about this in particular is that this is something that I think could be easily translated to something that you could do in your own home with, you know, a smaller space that you have, that you don't have to have these like massive holiday trees, but you could do something where you have like a collection or an assortment of smaller trees to make up your own sort of holiday scape, if you will, on top of a surface. Okay, next slide. All right, and that will bring us to the French drawing room. And this was inspired by the Cartier necklace. It's an absolutely gorgeous piece, and we really wanted to use the theme of pearls from the ocean, and then also the fact that this was a piece that Marjorie Merriweather Post wore, and really, you know, make this tree to be very beautiful and decadent and sort of draped in pearls and also in diamonds. So we'll take a little look at the video of this room. And again, one of the things that I really like to do when trying to have any kind of tree in a room is, again, how is it fitting into the room? What are the different themes that we can then sort of pull from? And the one thing that I did think was fun with this, when I was talking with Wilfred about this, we both sort of agreed that the chandeliers in the room have that same geometric shape and design as the clasp of the necklace. So it was really kind of fun to then utilize that as our tie-in for the tree as well. And this one, again, we really wanted to make this come alive with, all of the draping strands of pearls on the necklace, and then picking up some of the lighter pinks of the pearls, and then really heavily embellished with a lot of uh, diamond ornaments and diamond shaped pieces as well. And then, of course, we have these fantastic chandelier ornaments that a little plug for our holiday shop as well. So those are in the museum shop. But those also, again, are really kind of fun because not only does it tie in the chandeliers of the room, but it also ties in that same sort of shape of the clasp of the necklace as well. And again, it fits in, I think, very nicely with the color scheme of the French drawing room. Excellent. All right, so next slide, please. Are there any questions? We're still good?
No questions yet.
Okay, excellent. All right, so the next room that we're going to go into is going to be the dining room. And this was based off of the contemporary artist Courtney Madison and her piece called Aqueduct. And this is, I think, just an amazing piece in the exhibition. And I really wanted to figure out how it is that we could kind of bring this to life in a tree. So we're going to watch the video coming into the dining room. And this was one of those things where the piece that Courtney Madison did, it's all of this sort of, she used a lot of clay in the piece that she created for Aqueduct. And so, sort of tying that theme of like the porcelain, the clay, to obviously in the dining room, you have the amazing uh, table setting that, of course, is in the porcelain. And so that sort of the raw material, in a sense, was one tie-in for the theme of the tree to the piece. But then also one of the things that I really found to be fun this year was that the color scheme of the tree that we did really fits in beautifully with the painting that it's right up in front of. And I also wanted to kind of tie in that idea of sort of like these living creatures, kind of, because hers is all about the coral and the coral reef. So we have some coral ornaments, not really coral, but coral-y looking ornaments. And I was able to find these other ornaments that we use that almost to me look like little tentacles or like little octopus or starfish that we were able to incorporate into the tree as well. And again, I feel like this really has that same feeling as her sculpture does, as things sort of like crawling and coming into life. Excellent. And then I also like to tie in our poinsettias in the breakfast room to the exhibition as well. So this year we went with these beautiful kind of salmony orange poinsettias that are in the breakfast room right now. All right, so this brings us to our last room, which is the visitor center. And this one was really the idea of, how can we uh, let the visitors know, how we are sustainable at Hillwood, and really use this tree for the visitor center as one of the main themes for sustainability, and just sort of a reminder of, impact that we are having on our oceans and on the planet. So we wanted to go with Theo Mercer's piece Skeleton. It's a skelalite in French. I don't know if my French was very good with that, but it's it translates to skeleton. And this, his idea behind the sculpture was really connecting everyday objects that, we sort of take for granted, and just sort of throw out into the world, and not really think about what the footprint is that we are having on our planet. So really kind of understanding like the idea of consumption, destruction, and how, we are just sort of going through our day to day, and, what that impact has on our planet and on the oceans. So this idea of this, discarded elements and trash was something that we really wanted to sort of latch on to, and, take that and figure out how can we make this into something beautiful, and how can we make this into something that, really does promote sustainability. And then also, how do we make this into a tree? So the one thing, that was really kind of fun with this tree in particular, is that we did a whole sort of all campus call for people to bring in their recyclable aluminum cans. And this tree in particular was 100% done with ornaments that we have had in our storage. Nothing was bought in, so I would call this our most sustainable tree uh, this year. And then also, after we watch the video, I'll just explain a little bit about what we did. But without further ado, I'll have you guys see the video and see the tree. And so this is our visitor center. And we also decorate the banister in the same theme as the tree as well. And again, this is one of those projects that it's a lot going on, and it really came together quite nicely. So the one thing I wanted to do with this tree was have us make ornaments for the tree. So we collected over 300 cans, and then we were able to make with just the horticulture staff. Wilfred, Kate, and also Lauren helped out in our star making as well, and we made 625 aluminum stars. So all the stars that you see on the tree were handmade by us. And what we did was we had to open up the cans with scissors. We then flattened out the aluminum can. We traced on a star. We were able to fit 2 stars per can. Then we cut them all out. And then after they were cut out, we used a scoring pad, and then we scored all of the stars by hand. So that's why they become sort of dimensional. And again, it was one of those things that it came together, I think, really well. I think that the stars that we made came out fantastic. And again, that was a big push for all of the horticulture staff in particular, because we were at any time it rained, anytime it was a lull outside, people would come in and they would help make all of these stars. And again, I really loved this idea of having a tree that was utilizing things that, again, are typically either thrown away or just like not really thought of in terms of, I know that a lot of us recycle cans in particular, but, some people don't, and some people just throw them away, and, they don't see it as something that can be recycled or can be turned into something beautiful. So I think that for us, and our push for sustainability at Hillwood, I thought that this would make a great sort of entrance piece. So the first thing people see when they come in are these, all 600 stars that we made for the tree and for the banister. And again, then I wanted to take that kind of theme of the ocean, of, the aluminum cans, and tie that color scheme into the palette for the tree and also for the banister as well. So we used this great gray fabric, and I really wanted to give the idea of like sort of ocean waves, and also reflect the same color scheme as the stars for that. But again, I think that one of the main objectives for this tree, not only the fact that it was something that we were able to make these stars and kind of create, I think, quite a lovely and beautiful tree, was that, I just wanted it to be something that, visitors could come in and be like, oh, I could make stars for my tree as well, or I can use certain objects that I wouldn't have thought of otherwise, and, maybe make those into tree decorations, or, just something so that we don't always have to, go out and sort of consume all of the holiday ornaments, that kind of a thing. And, just, I don't know, just have like one step towards thinking about like how we can create things from everyday objects that we have in our house. Again, like if you had like some extra fabric laying around, or if you had, just whatever it is, like maybe this will inspire you to figure out different ways of how you can decorate your tree in a more sustainable fashion. Excellent. And yeah, I think that's that's all I have for the trees. Are there any questions?
Yeah, we've got a few questions here that I can share.
Excellent.
Um, I've got a couple of questions about this last tree here that we can talk
Yes.
about a little bit. So one person is asking what the ball is representing. I think in the piece that inspired this tree, the ball and chain. I can go back here so we can check this out. But what you feel that means.
I think that for his piece, I don't necessarily want to speak for the artist, but for what how I interpreted the sculpture and how it was going to be interpreted for the tree in particular, was that, i- when I first saw it, it's like, oh yes, there's a ball there that looks like a Christmas ornament, like every ornament that we have. So it was kind of taking sort of like the literal you know object of something that was round and then putting it into the tree. But I don't I can't say, and I can't speak for the artist what he was intending that to be. But yeah, there is I think something kind of uh I don't know if fun's the right word, but like the idea of like the ball and chain, about how you are really sort of attached to consumerism, and how, we are very much reliant on a lot of these everyday objects that we don't necessarily think about, but we somehow feel like we need.
Awesome, thank you. One more question about, or a couple more questions actually about this last tree.
Mm.
Someone asks if there were any injuries in cutting the stars. They say it seems like a sharp event.
Yes, it was a very sharp event. The I think the big joke for us was, we're like, oh, they're very stabby. So um surprisingly, though, no one was injured. I mean, yes, I think we all got stabbed by those stars several times, but nothing serious. There were no serious injuries. I don't even think there was any blood drawn from any of us. But that being said, I was surprised how thin the aluminum was for those cans, and it was very easy to cut with just regular scissors. I thought we were going to need like some kind of special shears or something like that, but we just use the regular, craft scissors to cut those all out.
Great. Thank you. And one last question about this last tree here, asking what the pinnacle on the tree is made of, and was that crafted by the staff or was it a different object?
The tree topper, no, that was something that we had in our vast ornament collection. And I use that again because of the color ties in with the color theme of the tree. And then also again, it's that same sort of like ball shape that is in the sculpture as well.
Great, thank you. So we have just a couple more general questions here. One person asks, where did MMP usually celebrate Christmas? Was it at her property in Florida or was it here at Hillwood?
Yes. So she was typically down in Florida for the holidays. But we like to imagine that if she were at Hillwood, that she would have trees in all the locations that we have them in, and that she would want everything sort of decorated to its fullest as well.
Great, thank you. One more, or one of a couple more questions here. How do you choose which pieces to inspire which room? So I guess, what's the thinking behind each piece correlating with each room?
Yes. So again, when we walked through the exhibition, this was like back in July, we knew we wanted to use the contemporary artist. So again, that sort of like whittled down, obviously, the pieces that we would be using for the inspiration. So it was actually kind of easy because we're like, okay, well, there's only five, contemporary artists, or uh, contemporary pieces that we have. So that was a relatively easy way that we eliminated everything else because we just went with the contemporary pieces. And then from there, again, thinking about the visitor center, what was the first thing is like, what do we want visitors to first see, and what's the impact going to be when they first come into the visitor center, and sort of set the tone for what the rest of the trees are going to be. So that is why we went with that piece, because we knew we wanted it to be sort of a more um sustainability, figuring out how we can incorporate, Hillwood's idea of sustainability, and, what we're doing to try and help with the environment. And so that seemed like it was a relatively, and, that's also when we came up with the idea of, having um, ornaments that we actually made from recycled objects. So that we kind of knew was going to be a relatively easy one to, put into the visitor center and have that be kind of the kickoff to the trees. And then from there, a lot of it was either based on the color of the piece that they were doing, or sort of the theme of whatever it was that they were doing. And again, this year, I feel like it kind of worked out relatively easily because, with the French drawing room, it's like, oh, of course, that would be the pearl necklace. And then for the dining room, that also made a lot of sense, just in terms of the color, because of the color scheme in the dining room, but then also because of the idea of porcelain and clay kind of being those raw objects that or raw materials that were kind of comparable as well. And then that left the 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 pavilion, and again, the idea of the ocean movement, that sort of thing, that seemed to really work out for the pavilion, for what was going on, or what the pavilion was used for.
Great, thank you. Couple other questions here. Are there additional decorations out in the gardens? I think you touched on this a little bit, but
Yes, so we have over, God, I can't remember now how many, but we have swags that were made by the horticulture staff, that are on all of the lamp posts. So that is sort of festooning like the drive area. And then we also have some wreaths out and about. This year we really jazzed up the tent area, and there are lighted garlands. I think, yeah, we have apples and pears of the permanent botanical variety that are sort of festooning the garlands inside of the cafe tent area. And also in CW Post, we have a lot more decorations as well. But that's, in the garden specifically, no, but around campus, we definitely have a lot of other fun decorations.
Great, thank you. I've got one more specific question and then a couple more general questions. When visitors come, will they understand how the ornaments were made from the recycled objects? And I think this is specifically about this visitor center tree here. So I guess maybe how is that explained in some of the text, perhaps?
I believe it is. So all of the trees have a little placard that's right at the base of the tree, and it has a picture of the sculpture or object that the tree is based off of or inspired by, and then there's like a little blurb about that. Um, I sh I should know the answer to this, but I believe that there is wording about that for the visitor center tree.
Great, thank you. One comment here, yeah, it's more of a comment than a question that just says that the creativity is astounding. A big thank you for taking the time to share your ideas, your process, and presenting everything. So this visitor or this attendee says they can't wait to see it all in person now that they have the backstory for everything.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Oh, one question. So we have two other questions that are essentially asking if we can see every tree again and walk through the house. So I can just sort of flip us through quickly if that works for everyone and check out all of the trees again. And if anyone has any other questions that pop up, we can take a look at that. We have someone here asking a question about the dining room tree. So let's take a look here. If we flip back, a little backwards tour here. Got the
There
dining
it is.
room here. This person says the dining room trees, such unusual colors, really reflecting the art inspiration. Were they purchased to mimic the colors? And if so, where were they sourced?
Yes. So I would say half of the ornaments we already had in the collection. So I don't know where those came from because some of them even predate before I got here. And then the other ones that we sourced for that, some of them were off of Amazon, and then some of them were from Balsam Hill, which is they do fake trees is their big thing, but they also do decorations.
Great, thank you. So I guess I'll just sort of continue on our backwards tour here. And if anyone has any additional questions, you're welcome to enter them here in the Q&A as well. All right. Does anyone have any additional questions or additional comments that they'd like to share? Doesn't look like it, but that's absolutely fine. You're still welcome to enter into the Q&A, or you can reach out to us separately if you have any additional questions. But I just want to thank everyone for joining this lovely holiday tour today, and also thank Amy for presenting this lovely holiday tour and creating all these beautiful pieces for us to explore. So again, we hope to see you all at Hillwood soon, and check out this our exhibition and all of the holiday decor. And I just hope everyone has a lovely week and wonderful holiday season. So thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Claire. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.